Well, if you thought the NBA trade deadline was mid, it definitely heated up in the final few days and the few hours heading into the 3 p.m. deadline on Thursday. The Indiana Pacers announced they're trading for all-defense center Ivica Zubac, sending Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, and a couple first-round picks to the Los Angeles Clippers. Let's talk about what this means for both teams. Well, I think most people knew that this was going to be a gap year for the Indiana Pacers, losing Miles Turner in free agency, losing Tyrese Halliburton to injury. I don't think many people thought the Indiana Pacers were going to do much and they would be near the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and that's exactly what's happened this year. Andrew Nembhard has stepped into a more of a point guard role. Pascal Siakam recently just named to his third All-Star team, and this move is exactly what the Pacers needed. They needed a center. They needed some defensive presence. They needed more of a consistent guy who can man the center role, and Ivica Zubac is exactly that kind of player. In and out of the lineup so far this season, not as healthy as he was last year, but last year named to the first time in his career to an all-defensive team. We know the kind of player he is. This video is not about how good Ivica Zubac is. We know he's a great rebounder, a great rim presence on both ends of the floor. Once he gets in that restricted area, he shoots 72%. More times than not, you know it's going to be a dunk. You know it's going to be a bucket. And on the defensive end, he's a menace. He blocks shots. He deters people from even trying to drive because you know you're not getting it over that long frame. But this is exactly what the Pacers were going to do. We knew Isaiah Jackson, J. Huff, they're not starting centers for a Pacers team that's going to want to compete next season in the Eastern Conference once Halliburton is back, once they do sort of fill out this roster a bit more with some veteran players and more players who can contribute. And Zubac is the exact player they need. Whether it was going to be in free agency or through the trade deadline, Ivica Zubac getting traded wasn't really on the cards until the blockbuster James Harden, Darius Garland trade. And there isn't much else I can say that Zubac is going to be the perfect center for a team that loves to get out and run, loves to throw lobs, loves to be a fast-paced team. Halliburton to Zubac is going to be a crazy duo. It's going to be an exciting duo, and I think this is just a perfect trade for the Pacers to build around Halliburton. Zubac still in the prime of his career, about to turn 29, still in the midst of his prime, just came off an all-defensive team. He could make another one. He's going to always be near the top of the league in a rim defense, sort of around the 90th percentile in that statistic for the rest of the league. So there aren't really many centers that were available for the Pacers, and I think they made a great job of jumping on this ship to once the Clippers decided to sell with the James Harden trade, and now you get a nice veteran prime defensive big. Now, regarding the picks involved, the Pacers are sending their 2026, this year's first-round pick, which is 1 through 4 protected and 10 through 30 protected, and also a 2029 unprotected first-round pick. First, let's talk about that 2029 first-round pick. The Pacers are going to be very, very good in 2029. Tyrese Halliburton's just about to turn 26. Nemby is 26. Majority of their team will still be in the prime of their careers, and the Pacers will be in the prime playoff position once those picks actually get sent out to the Clippers. So in terms of that pick, I don't think they're losing much. But here is where it gets interesting, that 2026 first-round pick. Currently, the Pacers are projected to get that third overall pick. They currently have 13 wins, near the bottom of the Eastern Conference. As I said previously, that pick going to the Clippers, if it falls between the first overall pick and the fourth overall pick, or if they somehow drop between 10 and 30, it will stay with the Pacers. But if you look at that and it ends up being maybe the fifth overall pick, maybe they drop to the sixth overall pick, that will be sent out to the Clippers. So it really depends how the rest of this season pans out for the Pacers and what happens in the draft lottery. We've seen teams jump in the past. The Atlanta Hawks to select roischand. We saw what happened with the Mavs last year. So it's not 100% guaranteed that the Pacers can keep this pick. I think they probably will keep the pick because it's very rare for a team that's near the bottom to not at least get a top 4 pick. But like I said, we've seen it in recent years. And if the Clippers are able to snag that pick out of this trade, I think that's a wonderful deal for them. You know, they sent that haul for Paul George. They don't have any picks. Their only young players they really have now is Darius Garland and a couple bench pieces. But if you are able to get, a lottery pick in this draft, which is stacked of talent, it's not just the 1 through 3, the guys like AJ, the guys like Darren Peterson, the guys like Boozer. There's a lot of talent in this draft. So if the Clippers are able to grab one of those players, this is a tremendous deal for them. But moving on to the players involved, Isaiah Jackson, who is a serviceable bench big man. But the big piece in this trade is the youngster Benedict Mathurin, who is one of the most talented scorers in the league. Dealt with a lot of injuries the last few years, but when he does play, he is on fire. currently averaging just a shade under 18 points a game and shooting 37% from three. It was obvious that once the Pacers traded for Pascal, once they got Nembhard and they went to the finals and they became this juggernaut in the Eastern Conference, it's going to be impossible for them to keep Tyrese Halliburton, to keep Andrew Nembhard, to keep Pascal Siakam, and to keep Bennedict Mathurin. So they needed to make a decision whether they wanted to get rid of Nemby, they want to get rid of Bennedict, they want to get rid of Pascal. I think they made a good decision to get rid of Bennedict Mathurin heading into the summer where he's going to have to get a big deal. They weren't going to get rid of Tyrese. That's your lead Supermax, all-star, all-NBA guard. They're not going to get rid of Pascal. He just coming off another all-star appearance now and was probably going to win finals MVP if they won game 7. And then I think Nembhard is just more of a complimentary player than what Bennedict Mathurin is. Not to take away the kind of player that Bennedict Mathurin is. He's a talented scorer, but other than that, you're not really getting much else from him. He's not a terrific passer. He's not a terrific playmaker. He's not the best defender in the world. So in terms of the Clippers, this is a wonderful trade. You're getting back a guy who's 4 years younger to pair nicely alongside Darius Garland. We've seen it throughout Garland's career. What does he thrive with? Who does he thrive next to? He thrives next to a scoring forward. To put Bennedict Mathurin next to a guy who's going to find him as well as Darius Garland is, I think this is a tremendous deal for the Los Angeles Clippers, especially giving up a player as good as Zubac and the value he brings. I think Bennedict Mathurin is a great return for Zubac. And I think the Clippers now sort of have a direction. They don't have control of their picks. No, they don't have any draft capital or significant draft capital if you get these 2 picks. But now you get a guy 10 years younger in Darius Garland. You get a guy 5 years younger in Bennedict Mathurin. You got 2 guys going to win you a lot of games, going to be exciting players to watch. Will just help the Clippers stay out of the lottery, whether they're going to have to rely on some others' picks if they are going to get rid of, the rest of the vets that are on this team. But I think both teams, this is a win-win trade for both teams. The Pacers finally have their big men, and the Clippers are finally sort of getting a direction and sort of freeing themselves out of the hole that they dug themselves all those years ago with the Paul George trade. With that being said, this is Rois from BoxInOne signing off. This is our opinion on the Bennedict Mathurin for Ivica Zubac trade. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know your opinion on this trade, and we'll see you in the next one.